Hello. Today, almost every major company in the world is talking about carbon footprint, net zero targets, and greenhouse gas emission. But a very important question arises. How do companies actually measure their greenhouse gas emission? How can we verify whether the reported emissions are accurate? And how do governments and organizations ensure transparency in climate reporting? Hello everyone, welcome to Clean Copper Talk. So the answer to previous question lies in an international standard known as ISO 14064. ISO 14064 provides globally recognized guidelines for quantifying, reporting, monitoring, and verifying greenhouse gas emissions. In this video, we will understand what is ISO 14064, why it is important for climate action, the three major parts of the standard, ISO 140641, ISO 140642, ISO 140643, and the other related frameworks used for greenhouse gas accounting. By the end of this video, you will clearly understand how organizations measure and verify their carbon emission. So stay till the last. ISO 14064 is an international standard developed by the International Organization for Standardization, commonly known as ISO. The standard provides a structured framework for the organizations to measure greenhouse gas emissions, to report emissions transparently, to verify emission reductions, and to support climate mitigation strategies. The first version of ISO 14064 was published in 2006, and it has been revised over time to align with global climate frameworks such as the Paris Agreement and the carbon reporting systems. ISO 14064 is widely used by industries, governments, environmental consultants, carbon markets, sustainability reporting agencies. It is also closely aligned with another major framework known as the GHG protocol, which is widely used for corporate carbon accounting. The ISO 14064 standard is divided into three main parts. Each part focuses on different aspects of the greenhouse gas management. The three parts are ISO 14064-1, which is guidelines for the organizational level greenhouse gas emission accounting and reporting. ISO 14064-2, which is guideline for project-based greenhouse gas emission reductions or removals, and ISO 14064-3, guidelines for verification and validation of greenhouse gases statements. Together, these three components form a complete system for measuring, managing, and verifying greenhouse gas emissions. Let us now understand each of these components in detail. ISO 14064-1, Organizational GHG Accounting. The ISO 14064-1 focuses on quantifying and reporting greenhouse gas emissions at the organizational level. This means measuring emissions generated by the operations of a company or institution. The standard provides guidelines for designing a greenhouse gas inventory, identifying emission sources, calculating emissions, reporting emissions transparently. A key concept in ISO 14064-1 is the classification of emissions into scopes. These scopes were originally introduced in GHG protocol, and ISO 14064 follows a similar approach. Scope 1, direct emissions. These are emissions that occur directly from sources owned or controlled by the organization. Examples include fuel combustion in company vehicle, emissions from boilers and generators, industrial processes emissions. Scope 2, indirect energy emission. These emissions occur from generation of purchased electricity, heat, or steam used by the organization. For example, electricity purchased from the grid. Scope 3, other indirect emissions. Scope 3 includes emissions occurring across the value chain of the organization. Examples include transportation and logistics, business travel, waste management, purchased goods and services. ISO 14064-1 helps organizations systematically identify and calculate emissions from all these sources. GHG quantification methods. To calculate emission, ISO 14064 recommends several quantification methods. The most common method is the activity data multiplied by the emission factor approach. For example, if a factory consumes 10,000 liters of diesel and the emission factor for diesel combustion is known, the total carbon emission can be calculated. The general formula is emission equal to activity data multiplied by the emission factor. Activity data may include fuel consumption, electricity usage, industrial production data. Emission factors are usually obtained from databases published by organizations such as IPCC, National Environmental Agencies, International Energy Agency. ISO 14064 Part 2 Project-based emission reduction. While ISO 14064-1 focuses on the organization, ISO 14064 Part 2 focuses on projects. These standard provides guidelines for quantifying greenhouse gas reductions achieved through specific climate projects. For example, such projects may include renewable energy installation, waste methane capture projects, energy efficiency improvement, afforestation and reforestation projects. ISO 14064-2 helps determine how much greenhouse gas emission reduction occurs as a result of a project. To do this, the standard introduces the concept of a baseline scenario. A baseline scenario represents emission that would occur if the project had not been implemented. The difference between the baseline emission and the project emission represents the actual emission reduction. This methodology is widely used in carbon credit markets and the climate mitigation programs. Then ISO 14064-3 Verification and Validation. The third part of the standard ISO 14064 Part 3 focuses on verification and validation. Verification ensures that the greenhouse gas reports and emission reduction claims are accurate and credible. This process is usually conducted by independent third-party auditors. Verification involves several steps such as reviewing emission calculations, checking data accuracy, evaluating monitoring system, and confirming compliance with the reporting standards. This step is extremely important because organizations often report emissions for sustainability reporting, carbon markets, ESG disclosures, regulatory compliance. ISO 14064-3 ensures that the reported information is reliable and transparent. Other important frameworks related to GHG accounting. ISO 14064 does not exist in isolation. It works alongside several other global frameworks. The GHG Protocol. The Greenhouse Gas Protocol is the most widely used international standard for corporate carbon accounting. It introduced the concept of Scope 1, Scope 2, and Scope 3 emissions. Many organizations use GHG Protocol together with ISO 14064. ISO 14067. This standard focuses on carbon footprint of products. It measures the total greenhouse gas emission associated with a product throughout its life cycle. PAS 2060. PAS 2060 is a specification developed in the UK for demonstrating carbon neutrality. Organizations use this standard to certify their net zero claim. Science-based target initiatives. This initiative helps companies set emission reduction targets aligned with climate science. These frameworks collectively support global climate action and corporate sustainability. Importance of ISO 14064 for industries. ISO 14064 plays critical role in modern environmental management. It helps organizations to measure their carbon footprint, improve transparency in climate reporting, participate in carbon trading markets, support ESG and sustainability reporting, develop strategies for emission reduction. Many multinational corporations now use ISO 14064 as part of their corporate sustainability strategies. It also helps government track emissions and design effective climate policies. As the world moves towards a low carbon economy, accurate measurement of greenhouse gas emission becomes increasingly important. Standards like ISO 14064 provide a reliable framework for organizations to quantify, report, and verify their emissions. By improving transparency and accountability, these standards play a crucial role in global climate mitigation efforts. Understanding ISO 14064 is therefore essential for professionals working in environmental engineering, sustainability, carbon management, and environmental consultancy. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. See you in next video.